All right, let's talk about a metal you probably think you have pegged, silver. But you know what? Something huge is happening right under our noses. Its entire story is being rewritten. So let's dig in and figure out what's really going on. For pretty much all of history, silver has been stuck in gold's shadow. It's always been poor man's gold, right? The B-list precious metal. But what if that whole way of thinking is just completely outdated now? Yeah, exactly. So this is the core of it, the real heart of the new story. Silver isn't just a pretty metal for coins and jewelry anymore. No, it's transforming into something absolutely critical, an irreplaceable piece of the puzzle for the biggest tech shifts happening right now. We're talking about the very backbone of our electric future. So that leads us right into the first huge piece of this puzzle. We're looking at a massive, unstoppable wave of new demand. And I want to be clear here, this isn't just some temporary blip. This is a fundamental structural change in who needs silver and why they need it. Okay, take a look at this. This is a perfect example. Just look at cars. Your good old gas guzzler already has a decent amount of silver in it. But an EV, a battery electric vehicle, whoa, look at that jump. We're talking about almost double the silver for every single car. It's needed for all the fancy electronics, the battery systems, all that stuff. And that's just one car. Now imagine that scaled up across the entire global auto industry. The numbers, well, they just get insane. We're looking at a projection of 88 million ounces of silver per year just for the auto industry by 2025. I mean, that's not a small bump. That is a seismic shift coming from just one place. But wait, it gets even crazier because it's not just about cars. Not by a long shot. You've got solar panels. That's actually the fastest growing source of silver demand right now. Then you have the whole AI revolution. All those massive data centers need silver because it's such a great conductor. And oh yeah, what about all the charging stations for those EVs? A single fast charging station can chew through a couple of kilograms of silver all by itself. So here's the bottom line. When you stack up all this new demand that, by the way, isn't going away, you slam right into a huge problem. This chart just lays it out perfectly. By 2030, we're on track for demand to just blow past supply. I mean, we might only be able to mine enough silver to cover something like 2/3 of what the world actually needs. Think about that.
Also, there's also sort of an industrial need for it as well.
Yes, we're in a historic and explosive rally of commodities, and silver by far is leading the pack on all of that. Silver is not just a precious metal and a safe haven for investment and risk diversification in your portfolio, but it also serves a dual purpose with industrial metals. And when you have the supercomputers fueling the AI, and you've got, every electrical component in your car is requiring silver, and this structural deficit we've been in silver for the last 5 years, that is what is really forcing this demand.
Yeah, I think silver, obviously a little more of the industrial demand side of things than gold, which is used for jewelry and obviously is a hedge. So silver has a little bit of everything. And I think it's just math. There's X amount of silver above ground, and the demand from it, first from EVs in terms of batteries, then solar, and then the big kick was, I think, data centers. And I think as data centers went out to procure equipment and materials, they realized, 22 million ounces of silver, I think, for one data center, something.
Okay, so the obvious question here is, well, if we need more silver, why don't we just, mine more? It seems simple, right? But the answer is really complicated, and it's all tied up in how and where we actually get silver from. And this is the absolute key to understanding the supply problem. Look here. Most of the silver we produce doesn't come from actual silver mines. No, it's just a byproduct. It's the stuff that gets pulled out of the ground when miners are really going after lead, zinc, copper, or gold. And this whole situation creates an economic term you need to know: inelastic supply. It sounds fancy, but all it really means is that you can't just turn on the silver spigot. Even if the price of silver goes to the moon, miners can't just magically produce more. Why? Because their decision to mine is based on the price of copper or zinc, not silver. That is the fundamental bottleneck holding back the world's supply. So let's just recap for a second. You've got this incredible surge in demand on one side, and on the other, a supply that's basically stuck in place. That is a recipe for a really, really interesting market. So if you're watching this space, let's talk about the companies involved and the single most important number you need to pay attention to. Okay, That magic number is called all-in sustaining costs, or AISC for short. Honestly, if you're going to remember one thing, remember this. It's the total, all-in, no-nonsense cost for a company to produce 1 single ounce of silver. It is the best way to see who's efficient and who's actually making money. And this is super interesting because you can basically group the big mining companies into 2 camps. First, you've got your low-cost champs, like Hecla. They can turn a profit even when silver prices aren't that high. Then you have the second group, the higher-cost guys. They're what we call high-leverage plays. Now, they might not make much when prices are flat, but boy, when the price of silver takes off, their profits can absolutely skyrocket. But then there's this really cool third group. I like to call them the free silver producers. These are those massive mining companies we mentioned earlier. They're not even trying to find silver. They're digging for copper or gold. So the silver they pull up, it's basically a freebie. Almost every penny they make from that silver goes straight into their pockets as pure profit. Okay, now we gotta pump the brakes for a second. It's really important to balance out this super bullish long-term story with a bit of a reality check. The source material is very clear on this. Silver and the mining stocks have gone up, well, they've gone up like a rocket. That's called a parabolic rise. And history tells us that when things go up that fast, they can often come down just as fast in a pretty painful pullback. So when you put it all together, the story of silver has completely changed. It's not about poor man's gold anymore. It's now tied directly to our electric future, to green energy, to AI. You've got this locked-in demand and a supply that just can't keep up. So really, the big question isn't if this is all going to play out. The real question is, with the market already starting to catch on, when is the right time to pay attention?